The 5 girls who died tragically in the fire at the Armadale Juvenile Correctional Center have now been identified. The girls have
The
been named
Armadale
as...
Juvenile Correctional Center in Alexandria, St. Anne is to be shut down. The announcement was made today by Prime Minister Bruce Golding following a tour of the facility where 5
According
wards
to
of the
sources
state...
within the correctional services, the fire may have been caused by the use of tear gas by police who were trying to quell a disturbance at the facility on Friday night. However, police sources are denying that this was the case. The police say they have information that the fire was started by a female inmate at the facility.
The government is fine-tuning the machinery to set up the Public Commission of Inquiry to investigate the cause of the fire that claimed the lives of 6 wards at the Armadale Juvenile Correctional Facility 3 weeks ago. Speaking with the RGR News Center.
Candine Anderson was 16 years old when she entered Armadale.
After my mom died, when I was about 1 year and 5 months old, we were living in Waterhouse, and then we moved from Waterhouse to St. Mary so I went to live with my grandma. Things were okay for a while. We got government helped us to go to school, and it was alright for a while, and then I started going to high school and things kind of changed. I was always a brilliant girl in school. When I was supposed to be in the 8th grade, my grandmother told me that she could no longer afford to send me to school. So I started going out. It was never a boyfriend thing for me. It was just that I always wanted to go to school because my family was poor, and my grandmother always tell me that it cornerstone and whatnot. So I always wanted to become something. So I was always serious about school. So I started going out. I started exchanging like sex for money. Not like a prostitute kind of thing, but I would pretty it up and say I'm in a relationship with a guy, and so he gives me money, and I go to school and he buys me shoes. So my grandmother used to put me out on the street, and I used to go next door and live with my friends, and basically it was rough. I got in a lot of fights, and I wanted to be like my mother, and everybody keeps saying my mother a cowgirl, she a bad girl a Waterhouse, and she lock gun and things. So I say, alright, if my mom could do it, then I can do it. So I wanted to be a bad girl, but I wanted to be successful at the same time. So I used to get in a lot of fights and into a lot of trouble. It was pretty rough. I had to send myself to school for a while. My brother tried, my sister tried, and then till they couldn't do anymore. My brother lost his job and my sister lost her job, and I had to like go to guys and send myself to school. But it was pretty rough.
Chevenise Johnson had been in and out of the juvenile system before she was sent to Armadale.
I live in Armadale. In around 8th grade. I was starting to save myself, and I went to Grenoble for around 3 months, and then I come home by the September start with the school, and I go to school around 3 months until I go back there, and they sent me to Porto. I was at Porto for 6 months, and from Porto I was at Grenoble for 2 days until the Armadale bus come and pick me up there.
Candine wound up in Armadale after an altercation with several other girls. At first, she thought she would be better off.
One morning I was staying with a friend. My grandmother wasn't sending me to school, and I was on the street, and I got fed up of guys. So I was staying with my friend. I was in the 10th grade, I think, and one morning we were walking down the street, me and 2 other girls, and then 3 girls ran me down and say, "Is your name Candy?" And I said, "Yes, it's me." And she said, "I know you want to fight off my sister. One heap of quarreling." And she hit me in my face. At the time, I had a knife underneath my blouse, and I lifted my hands. I was thinking of thumping her, but the knife was in my hand, so I think she got stabbed. So when I went to court, the judge asked my grandmother if my grandmother said she's not going to take me back. So they said somebody was supposed to get me. The judge was saying somebody is supposed to come and get me. And if there's anybody able to, the judge was say Waterhouse is a no-no, so I had to go to a juvenile correctional center. When the probation officer told me that I was going to have to go into an institution because she'd called me and she said my grandmother said I was harassing her, and so I said okay then. So I sat and I thought about running, and I said, no, sir, it don't make no sense. Or it makes sense that I go because I see girls go to institution and come out with their subjects and everything. So I say, and it would be easier because I would be more focused. I won't have any distraction or anything. So I'll be more focused. I'll be in a place where there's no distraction, school and back and study. So I was looking forward to it. On the first page of a story, the future seemed so bright. Then this thing turned out so evil. I don't know why I'm still surprised.
Lieutenant Colonel Sean Prendergast, the Commissioner of Corrections, is in charge of juvenile facilities. Colonel Prendergast says the majority of children in his custody are as a result of a court action.
The Department of Correctional Services has two basic types of institutions. We have remand centers and we have correctional centers. Now, juveniles who go before the courts, whether it is a family court or otherwise, if the courts determine that they are to be remanded in custody pending the outcome of their trial, they would come to us and would be held in a remand center. If the trial goes through, is completed, and they are given a correctional order, then they would be given a commitment form that would allow us to hold them at one of our correctional centers. You have children's homes and places of safety that fall under the CDA, and those would take care of children who are deemed to be in need of care and protection by the state. So it's a different thing. The juveniles that come to me are normally sent here, not normally, all the time, by the directives of the courts.
The youngsters exhibit different types of behavior and are taken into state care for a range of reasons.
The age of criminal responsibility in Jamaica is 12. So you would not find a juvenile below the age of 12 in any of our facilities. So it is 12 to 17. And once the child becomes 18, then we would move them to an adult facility or release them, depending on what the order of the court was. Now, the juveniles that come to us, it ranges from, on the low end, being uncontrollable, an individual who has not been in breach of any law, but are just, whether they're skipping school, they're not staying home, they're not obeying the parents are normally the ones to take them to the courts and ask for assistance. And it goes all the way up the scale to murder and multiple murders. So we do have a wide-ranging population, juvenile population in our centers.
Although Candine was initially happy to be sent to the Armadale Juvenile Correctional Center, life there was not what she thought it would be.
On arriving to Armadale, the cottage dorm is directly from the drive-in. I looked over the cottage dorm and all the girls were screaming, "Baby, baby, baby, you look good." And I was like, wow, I felt popular. I'm not gonna lie, I felt popular. I was like, yes, I'm popular. I don't have to worry about people liking me, I guess. Then I went into the dormitory. The staff started to check my things. And she was like, "You have any piercing, like any body piercing?" It was surprising to me. I've seen girls with body piercing, but because they're asking, like they're expecting me to have. So she's, "Any body piercing, any tattoos?" And I said, "No." And she started to get rough on me. And I was like, wow, this is how they're behaving here. Because I wanted to go, but I didn't know that they were like rough. And I didn't expect wardresses. Thought like house mothers were there. So when I got there and she gave me this sheet, a really, really dirty sheet, and she gave me this dress. It was dirty as well. So then I went into the dormitory and the girls were all naked, every single one. Who wasn't naked was half naked. And they were dancing on each other. I was like, "Jeez, they're gonna rape me in here." Everybody was half naked. Then they told me that I had to share bed with one of the girls because I am new and I had to stay on the top decker. The other morning I woke up and I wanted to take a shower. They say I have to wake real, real early because I am new. So I had to wake early. When I went into the bathroom, there was no shower curtain. or anything. The bathroom was blocked. It was blocked for the entire time I was in Armadale. The bathroom was blocked, so I couldn't use it. I had to use like the bucket. I tried really hard not to eat because most of the food was cold and you had to eat with your hand and everything. So I like held out until like the Sunday. I had some of the rice and peas and the chicken.
Chevenix says she was given special privileges as she was scheduled to be discharged from Armadale.
First, I go to cottage dormitory, then move into office dormitory. I was in there 6 months. To tell you the truth, when the girls are on lockdown, I'm one of the girls who are always outside giving them food and wash up back after class. They do not allow some of the girls outside who them know how to run away, so I just come out with them to go outside.
Following a visit to Armadale a day after the fire, then Prime Minister Bruce Golding ordered the immediate closure of the facility. He also announced that a one-man commission of inquiry headed by Justice Harrison be held. Susan Goff of human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice attended all but one of the sittings of the inquiry.
Prior to the fire, the night of the fire, the girls in that dorm, the office dorm, had been kept on lockdown for about a month. And what is lockdown? Lockdown was a system whereby all the children in that dorm were locked in for the entire day. They did not attend classes, they did not have recreation, they did not leave the room to go to have meals. Meals were brought to them in that room. They were not provided with utensils because utensils were deemed to be dangerous, so they were eating with their hands. During that lockdown period, for a short period in the morning, they were allowed access to a bathroom for having a shower. But within that 1 hour, after that 1 hour period, the water was turned off. They may have had access to that bathroom for part of the day, but from nighttime, when they were locked into that room, they had no access to the bathroom with the one toilet, which was serving all of these children, and instead there were pails, buckets, sometimes one, sometimes two, provided in that room where they would have to relieve themselves during the night.
Candine says she was on lockdown for just under 2 weeks, the duration of her stay at Armadale.
When I was in the dormitory the other morning when I woke up, I was like, yes, finally I get to go outside because it was really beautiful. Armadale is a beautiful, beautiful place. When you wake up and you see the sun and everything, and you see the cows and things. So when I wake up, I was like, okay, I can go outside now. And the girl said to me, no, you can't go outside. You have to stay here 2 weeks first. 2 weeks before you can go out. I said, what? So all the girls were gearing up for class the other day as well. So I was like, I'm not going to even get to go to school. And they said, no, you have to stay on the dorm for 2 weeks. Anyway, the girls were on, it was, I think the day after that I realized that the girls told me that they were on lockdown. It was on the 7th of May that 7 girls ran away. They escaped, and when they came back, it was said that they were going to be sent to Fort Augusta. But when Miss Jerry come, she said no, she wasn't going to send them, so she didn't. The lockdown situation, the bathroom, when I was on my bed, I could smell the entire thing. There were some girls who really kind of, you would say they wouldn't have any pride. They didn't care. It was like they were there so long, it would become the norm to them. When they're using it and they care, they would like try to wake up everybody so everybody could see like what they were doing. And nothing to back you away when you're using the bucket or anything. And if you act like, if you like said like, geez, yuck, or anything like they want to gang you or beat you up and so on. And there were girls that were even got raped in the dorm right in front of your eyes, and you weren't allowed to say anything. Of course, there were girls who pinched the wardresses or pinched the superintendent and told her, but they didn't care, obviously. There was even one night when I spent like 2 other girls had to share a bed with hers because the girls that raped them kicked them off the bed and they had to stay on our bed.
Chevenix says nighttime during the lockdown was horrible.
Like now one sardine close up I fear share bed. So my time through them put to sleep with me. I don't want to sleep with them. So me and two of my friends to sleep. So I share away for them on the bed. And if I want to defecate, after I pass 12 o'clock, them now come back out to let me out. So I have to use the bucket. In the morning when you get up, like the bucket, the piece is turned over. And sometimes when I girl them don't want to clean it up and get fed up. I was say, I will live in the stuff. If you not do it, always come to you.